Good morning, everyone. Forgive me for being about 35 seconds late. It is, I'm just going to say 8 a.m., and I will call this meeting of the Transportation Committee to order. Um, we don't need to do roll call. You've done the attendance. We're lacking 2 members, but we have a quorum to proceed. Do we have any appearances by members of the public and county employees?
We've had no requests this morning.
Okay, thank you so much. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. It's approval of the minutes for November the 4th, 2024, and the recommended approval of bills and transfers. Do I have a motion to put that on the floor? Motion by member Abel, second by member Metzger. Any questions or concerns? As I'm new to most of us are new to this committee, I'm not sure we would be able to know if there were any mistakes, but bills, everything's okay? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Okay, that is unanimous. All right, so we'll move on to 4A, Departmental Matters with Jerry Stokes, County Engineer. The floor is yours, Mr. Stokes.
You want to read the, and then we'll get a motion.
You guys, I'm learning your ways. Okay, that's fine. Let's put, our first item is a request approval of a resolution for the purchase of 2 tandem dump trucks from JX Peterbilt. May I have a motion to put that on the floor? Motion by member Metzger to have it on the floor, second by member Abel. Now.
Thank you, Chairman. So, the first item here, or the first 4 items are related to equipment. And so we use well, sometimes we bid these out, like straight up bid them out to the vendors. And then there's also an opportunity to use a state bid contract through the state, and they have different equipment. And then there's also a source well that is a national wide bidding process where so they work with different vendors and they take the bids as well. And so that's what we did on these first 4 items. And so we look at Peterbilt, we look at Kenworth, and we looked at International. And this year we're going to go with Peterbilt for the 2 tandem trucks. We have 18 tandems that we run our snowplow routes with, and we cycle those through about every 8 to 10 years. And so that's what they're doing. We'll replace 2 of them. Depending on when we get the trucks, we've traded some in and sometimes we trade them in, but the last couple of years we've been keeping the vehicles to keep through the winter, and then once we get our new trucks in place, then we've been putting them on an auction site, and we've had real good returns on them after the fact. So, any questions on that one?
Are there any enhancements that you're seeing from this purchase from your previous purchases?
Not necessarily any enhancements. The Kenworth, they're just kind of some subtle differences, but one of them on the Kenworth side was that they only can do like a 70-gallon fuel tank. And so it's kind of tough when you're out plowing, and whereas Peterbilt has a 100-gallon tank. And so we went with that. And then the Internationals, we do have a couple of those. It just seems like the Peterbilts and the Kenworths are just a lot better trucks. They're just built better. And so it's just kind of, and that's where you get into the subtle differences and that type of stuff. So.
Question. This is just a general question about Sourcewell. It's been a while since I've thought much about it. Does Sourcewell have any preference for American-made or anything, or is it just whatever is physically available? Because I know
It's basically kind of whatever we choose.
Okay.
At that point, that kind of gives us some flexibility to choose,
Okay.
what we prefer.
So they provide all options and then you select?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions about item A? Go ahead, Member Metzger.
I don't have any questions, but I do want to talk, when we replace these vehicles, just to put it on the record, we are not considering any, or why are we considering electric vehicles? And if not, why not?
Well, for the tandems, I don't, I don't think the technology's there yet and the horsepower is there yet for electric vehicles to be able to plow snow like we need to do and handle that. So, I'm sure that's probably coming. I don't know how soon it is, but we have not looked at that yet. No.
Thank you. So at this point, electric is not an option for us.
Not for the
Snowplows
tandems.
or
No.
tandem trucks.
Right.
Whether it's snowplow or work.
Correct.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving item A, a request approval of a resolution to purchase 2 tandem dump trucks from JX Peterbilt. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that is unanimous. We'll move on to number 2, request approval of a resolution to purchase 2 dump bodies, hoists, and hydraulics from Monroe Truck Equipment. May I have a motion to put that on the floor? Motion by member Abel, second by member Fagan.
So this is with Sourcewell as well, and to put the dump bodies and hydraulics on the 2 tandem trucks that we just purchased. They've done our beds and stuff for the last 3 years, and so it's Monroe out of Joliet. They've done real good work. The issue that we're running into is I think there's been a lot of trucks, a lot of state trucks built. So once we get the trucks, then we just get slotted into there whenever they can fit us in. So it could be a year from now before these are actually done. By the time they're just that backed up. We did reach out to a couple other vendors, and they're the same way. So we went with the ones that we know that have done good work for us, and so that was Monroe Equipment.
Any questions for Mr. Stokes? It's Big Trucks Day.
Yeah.
Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of item 4A2, request approval of a resolution for the purchase of 2 dump trucks, hoists, and hydraulics from Monroe Truck Equipment. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Miss Louisiana here is having a really hard time not saying Monroe. Forgive me, I had to work for it. Okay, so departmental matters 4.3, request approval of a resolution for the purchase of vacuum excavator from the Vermeer Midwest. May I have a motion to put that on the floor? Motion by member Abel, second by member Metzger.
So this is an apparatus that we don't currently have in our fleet. It's called we call it a vac trailer. It's a vacuum excavator. And basically what it is, it's kind of it's on a trailer, and it's a 500-gallon tank, and it's got a pressure thing that we can go down and find, we can dig down and find pothole for utilities and tile. And so we've rented one probably last 2 or 3 years, and we've rented one for probably like a month at a time. And so we just kept finding more of a use for it, and so thought it'd be a good time to go ahead and just purchase one outright so we'd have it and we could use it when we wanted it or needed it. And so I think there'll be a lot of use for this once we do get it in place. So so it's kind of a new piece of equipment for us to have.
Any questions? Please go ahead, member Metzger.
What's the life expectancy on this?
Oh, I'm thinking we should get 15, 20 years out of this, as long as it should be one that we wouldn't have to trade in every 5 years. It should last 15 years or better.
So do you see this as a potential use by township road commissioners at all?
There could be a possibility. I see it more like if we're doing a culvert for the townships and we're running into some utilities, or it's close to a subdivision where there's a bunch of utilities, we can go pothole it and then figure out, that way we can, if we have to adjust the elevation of the culvert, and we'd kind of find some of this stuff out ahead of time before we actually get out there and start digging.
So on those, you're usually doing a joint bridge
Correct.
fund with the township?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing no additional questions, we'll be voting on 4A3, request approval of a resolution for the purchase of vacuum excavator from Vermeer Midwest. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the vote is unanimous. We'll move on to number 5. This is a Route 66 bike trail, section 23-00001. Oh, gosh, sorry. I'm just so excited about the bike trail. Request approval of a resolution for the purchase of wheel loader from Martin Equipment. Can I get a motion to put that on the floor? Motion by Member Leffler, second. Member Abel, go ahead.
So this is just a wheel loader that we use to load aggregates and salt and that type of stuff throughout the year. We have two loaders. We just purchased one in 2023, and so this is one that we're going to purchase in 2025 that replaces one in 2020. And so on this particular one, we are going to trade in our old one. A lot of times we'll get a guaranteed buyback from the vendor on some of this type of equipment. And so, $145,000 to trade in our 2020 that's got about 1,500 hours in it. So, so that's what, so we'll be looking to get this here in the first part of 2025.
Any questions on this matter?
Sorry. Sorry. So this is on your, you have a rotation on these front-end loader, or these loaders also?
We do, yes,
Okay.
correct. Yep,
Thank you.
Yeah,
And this is part of that?
yes. Our backhoes, our loaders, and our high hoe are kind of on a rotation that we look at every 5 to 6 years.
All right, any additional questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll be voting on 4A4, request approval of a resolution for the purchase of wheel loader from Martin Equipment. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Okay, the vote is unanimous. Now we will move on to number 5, Route 66 Bike Trail, Section 23-00001. Did I get all the 0000106 BT, Village of McLean to Funk's Grove? Would you like to do all of them together, Jerry, or?
We can do them all together.
Okay, then subsection A is request approval of local public agency, joint funding agreement of federally funded construction. Subsection B, request approval of appropriation resolution for local match. And subsection C, request approval of intergovernmental agreement between IDOT and McLean County. I need that on the floor. Motion by Member Abel, second by Member Leffler. Thank you.
So this is a bike trail project that we've been working on goes from the village, basically the middle of the village of McLean up to Funk's Grove, where we left off back in 21, I think, 2020. And so this is the last section of the Route 66 bike trail that we have Phase 1 already approved. And I know the administration team's been working on additional grants to get Phase 1 moving forward on some of the other sections moving north. And so this is the last section that we'll look to construct here in 2025. And so the first one is the federal aid agreement that basically stipulates the funding. And so the funding for this is Illinois Transportation Enhancement Funds. And so we put an application in, and we received the funds on this particular project. And so then these funds require it's an 80-20 split, so it's a 20% match. And then the 20% match is made up of an intergovernmental agreement with the town of Normal, the city of Bloomington, McLean County, and then some of the other entities along Route 66 that provide their, based on percentage by population. And so then they pay their portion of the project accordingly. And so we did a resolution. So the second part is the resolution that stipulates each entity's percentages, and then what the county's percentage is, and that comes out of our Parks and Rec department then. And then the last thing is the intergovernmental agreement, and that is, since this is on old Route 66, it's IDOT right-of-way, so we have to have an agreement to where they're letting us put the trail on the IDOT right-of-way, and then the county's responsible for maintaining the portions that are outside the village limits, and then the villages and that maintain what's inside their limits. So, any questions on any of that?
Member Metzger.
You just mentioned that the villages are responsible for those areas within their boundaries. And do we confirm that they have budget, that they're budgeting for that maintenance each year?
Yeah, I mean, when we met with the Village of McLean before we went with this or before we started on this project, and yeah, they were okay with doing the routine maintenance. I mean, now the major construction, then we'll probably have to get involved or look at the additional funding. But as far as routine maintenance of the bike trail, yes, Tawanda currently does maintenance on it now.
And then I would assume Lexington and Chenoa are also doing their maintenance?
Correct. Yes.
I know they're doing enhancements also. Do they have to, they don't have to come back, or when there are enhancements on this trail, do they have to come back to the state or to get those improvements that they're doing, like
Yes,
a lot of
so-
trees that they're putting in?
So they have to get a permit from the state to do all that tree work or any other landscaping work that they're doing. So they, the Friends of the Constitution Trails, big involved in doing a lot of this work. And so, yeah, they reach out to the state on, a couple times a year when they're doing different projects, whether they're putting shelters up or a tree planting project. And so so yeah, they do get permission from the state before they do anything.
All right, thank you for your clarification.
Sure.
Any additional questions, concerns? Okay, seeing none, we will be voting on 4A5, the Route 66 Bike Trail, and subsection A, the request approval of a local public agency joint funding agreement, subsection B, request approval of appropriation of resolution for local match, and C, the request approval of intergovernmental agreement between IDOT and McLean County. All those in favor of those three items, say aye. Opposed? Okay, that is unanimous. We'll move on to number 6, request approval of engineering services agreement with WHKS and Company for McTurnan Bridge 2, CH 34, section 24-00093-06-BR. And I could get a motion to put that on the floor. Motion by member Fagan, second by member Metzger.
So this is a county bridge on the Shirley Road, just a little bit east of I-55 that we kind of had on the radar to replace. And so when we go out and inspect our bridges every 2 to 4 years, depending on how old the bridge is, and so then we provide ratings on different aspects of the bridge, and so we kind of use that as a guide to look at county projects, township bridge replacement projects, and then also routine maintenance that we would need to do, whether it's a deck overlay or putting riprap on a bridge. And so kind of identified this one. It was built in 1962, and it's kind of narrow, and so I do have some pictures of this I can show. So this is an old bridge, like I said, 1962. It's got a concrete curb with a concrete guardrail, which is not standard no more. And you can see there's no guardrail on the approaches, and we're having problems with the deck. The approach pavements settle on each side of the deck, and the deck's starting to show signs of aging. Here you can kind of see the edge where this is all cracking up and starting to pop off. And here you can see this is called effervescence, and it's where the concrete's starting to deteriorate there. And this is kind of right at the approach pavement sides of things. And so you kind of can see up here, there's a little bit more delaminations there that are occurring. And so this is a bridge that, so we actually, on this particular project, we went out for a request for proposal for, we contacted engineering firms that we've never done work with before. We have, like 5 or 6 that we typically work with on they do a project with us every couple of years. And so this one here, we decided to reach out and try somebody new. And so WHKS, Luke and I reviewed the proposals, and we thought that they provided the best proposal and how to replace this bridge the best. So we're looking at either, this is a small enough span that we might do a single span bridge to get rid of these piers here in the middle, or we might go back to the same type of concrete bridge with a three-span here. So we'll look at that as part of the design report. The bridge is, right now, from this curb to curb is only 26 foot wide. And so the new bridge will be 32 foot wide from the edge of the guardrail to edge of guardrail. So it'll be a nice improvement to get equipment and implements down through there. So, and so this is an engineering agreement. We're probably not looking to construct this until like 2027. But sometimes if we run into environmental issues or I have a feeling that they might consider this bridge as historic because of the concrete rail. And so that could prolong the design for that much longer. So I'm thinking it's going to take 2 years to get this all designed and then out to construction. So that's kind of why we're starting it so early.
Just as a question, well, I think we know when you took your pictures, by the way.
Yeah.
Snow gave you away. So if they do determine that it is historic, is it just a matter of replicating the design in the new design? Because you're not going to be able to retain that concrete if we widen.
Right, it depends. So sometimes they might make us put a similar type of rail up, or what we have done is written a report that shows that we still have these, that these other types of bridges still exist in the area, whether it's in, not necessarily McLean County, or it's on a state route or in another county that's, that may do that, but I don't know. So there's reporting to try to minimize it, I guess, as much as possible. But
And who determines the historic nature? Is that IDOT or?
it is the Illinois Historic SHPO that does it. So basically, we'll send, when we start the design work, they'll do what we call like an environmental screening process. And so then this all gets sent down to IDOT and they'll screen it. And then each of these entities will sign off on it. And so, so that'll be one that they'll probably take a look at.
Yeah, I've been involved in historic preservation and I never knew they did bridges. So that's interesting.
Yes, yeah.
I have a question. Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
Member Fagan.
Currently, the weight restrictions on the bridge, are they such that it's full use, excuse me, farm equipment and whatnot? And will the reconstruction increase the weight limit?
So there is no restriction right now for any load that's 80,000 pounds. But we haven't, I guess if we done it depends on what load's going over it to whether or not the bridge can handle it. So the new bridge will definitely be able to handle heavier loads than the 80,000 pounds. Like if it's an overweight load, let's say, like an excavator or something, that should be able to handle it. But we'll have to, usually when we have overweight loads like that on each of the bridges, we do an analysis to make sure, or we don't do it, but we send it off to some of our consultants that we work with, and they analyze it to make sure that the bridges can handle the weight.
I'm glad to know who they was. That's what I was trying to figure out also. I'm assuming we still have some of these bridges within the townships, though.
Yes. Yeah, I can't tell you where, but we do have some of these, yes.
So we could potentially utilize township historic, because those would not necessarily need to be replaced as,
That's correct, right, yeah. The last one I think we did was east of Lexington, that we had a bridge that had, I don't know if it was quite, it might have been, I don't think it was the exact same as this. And we did a report and showed that there was, I think on that one, we had a lot of structures that were similar to what they have on Route 66. So those structures, we were able to show that there was quite a few of those structures in McLean County, and that we weren't, doing anything detrimental to the last bridge or anything that had that type of rail on it.
and I know they have these same bridges along 66 up by Lexington between Towanda, Lexington, and Chenoa also, which are, and they're actually older. I think they were probably built in the 30s, I would think, by the looks of them. So so much for the historic stuff, not that we don't need to be concerned. So my other question, this engineering firm is from where?
Springfield.
Springfield. And lastly, when this, and I know we're looking at 27, what are you looking at from start to finish? 4 months?
Yeah, 4 months is probably good for a bridge this size.
And this road is very used, I mean, there's a lot of, I'm assuming you've done an analysis so far on traffic or not?
No, we actually haven't really done anything on the traffic side of things. It does get used quite a bit. It seems like it's getting used more and more. So it may be, once we get the bridge done, I mean, maybe, way in the future, it may be looked to where we'll be a road that we upgrade to, because right now it's just an oil and chip road. We'll look to maybe upgrade it to hot mix, make it 80,000 pound year round, because there is some cut through traffic from Route 51 to 55 there that we tend to get. So seems like it is getting busier over the years, and so it's something we'll definitely keep an eye on.
Okay, thank you.
And I will say to our new members before we vote that Jerry has a special interest in our bridges. You'll hear a lot about. And we're very, very lucky because our bridges, we don't have falling down disastrous bridges like they do in other parts of the state. So you're going to learn a lot about bridge construction over the course of your service here on transportation, and we appreciate every bit of it. Okay, good. Unless there are any other questions, I'll go ahead and take a vote on item 4A6. This is for the service agreement with WHKS and Company for the McThernan Bridge number 2. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Now we'll move on to item 7, request approval of motor fuel tax and matching fund resolution for Springtown Road, CH 32, Section 22-00057-13-RS. And if I could get a motion to put that on the floor. Motion by Member Leffler, second by Member Abel.
So this is a resurfacing project that we're looking to do here in 2025. And so with the motor fuel tax funds, we have to do, basically we have to appropriate the funds ahead of time. So that's what this resolution will do. And we have to do that before we advertise for bids. And so we're working on the plans right now and should have those done by the end of the month. And we're looking at doing probably like an end of January letting for that. And so then once we do the motor fuel tax and matching resolutions first, and then we come back and do the bids, and then we approve the bids depending on which contractor gets the work. So this is going from just south of Stanford to the Covell Road, which is 825 east. And so part of the road is gonna be a regular resurfacing project, and then 4 miles or so is gonna be actually what we call a cold in place recycle. And so that's where they come in and they till up the existing road and they add either foamed asphalt or emulsion into that mixture, and then they lay it back out through a paver, and then we put a couple inches of hot mix over the top of that. So it allows us to reuse the road. And so in this particular instance, there's a lot of transverse cracks that are deep that go down through the pavement, and so you feel those when you drive it. So in order to rectify that, the best course of action is to go ahead with a cold in place recycle. And so that's the oldest section of the road that was done in I think 1995, 1996. And then the other 2 mile section of road was done in 2004, and so that'll just be a regular mill and overlay on this. So basically what we're doing here is just appropriating the money, and then we're finishing the design for a January letting.
Anybody have any questions about this one? Okay, seeing none, we will vote on item 7, request approval of motor fuel tax and matching fund resolutions for Springtown Road. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And we'll move on to final, yes, number 8, request approval of motor fuel tax resolution 25-00000-00-CS. May I I have a motion to put that on the floor? Motion by member Fagan, second by member Abel.
So this is another motor fuel tax resolution to appropriate the funds for the county engineer's salary. And so it's based on the agreement that we had back in 2021, I believe, or 2022, I guess. So, and then it also allows for the reimbursement of federal funds to pay for half of the salary.
Do you want to add anything on the salaries? Just keep fixing those bridges. Any questions about that? Okay, all those in favor of item 8, request approval of meter fuel tax resolution for Jerry's salary. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Okay, Mr. Stokes, it is picture time. This is item B, project summaries.
Yeah, so I have, so this is the Pipeline Road, kind of last project that we had going on here, or not, two of the projects we had going on. So it's all completed. I should have got out there last week to take pictures, but with the short week, I didn't make it. So these are, so one of our staff members lives close by, so on his way home, he grabbed these pictures before and sent them to me last night. So this is a resurfacing project that we did from up around Lake Bloomington. It started at Ron Smith Highway and then went up around the lake, past Green Gables, and then up towards the spillway. And so we kind of widened out the road on each side to provide a paved shoulder, and then resurfaced the road as we went along. So I'll just go through these fairly quick. So this is looking north at Ron Smith. It's kind of another picture looking north there towards, we call it Carver's Corner there at right there south of Lake Bloomington. So this is Carver's Corner looking south back towards Ron Smith. And so we did do some curb and gutter work at this intersection and at a few intersections to replace the curb that was already there. This is kind of not a very good picture. Looking towards the Lake Bloomington Bridge, there's a bridge right here. So there's the bridge, and so you can kind of see the widening over here on each side of the road. And then, so this is what we call the hairpin curve, where we kind of realigned this a little bit to make it a little bit bigger than what it was. It used to be just a 90 degree curve, and so we kind of smoothed it out a little bit. And so that's, we've got a few pictures of that. This is kind of looking south towards and the lake's right over here on that. So there's kind of another picture of this whole curve. We did add curb and gutter along here to help minimize the amount of right of way that we needed off the homeowner on this corner. These are some pictures here at Green Gables. So this is at Green Gables looking towards the west so this is PJ Keller Highway going this way. And we did replace the curb here around the Lake Road. The curb around Green Gables was done last year because we knew that they were getting close to. We didn't want to shut them down, so we did that ahead of time, and then we just kind of tied into it with our project here this year. And so this is looking north there from that same intersection, and then looking south. And then these are up around the spillway. There's a couple pictures here. We did replace the guardrail on both sides. So it was about like 950 feet each side that we did. And so there are just some more pictures, and this is the end of the project there. So overall, it turned out good. So it was a good project to get completed, definitely. Any questions?
Now people can get to Green Gables and get their hamburgers easier. Any questions about that project? Okay, are you done with your
I
presentation?
do have one more.
Okay.
One more. So this is the other project that we have going on. This is a township bridge project that is the Leonard Culvert out south of Bellflower. And So we got the hot mix put on last week, right before it got cold. And so they're out there playing in the frozen dirt. So these pictures were actually taken this morning, from the resident engineer out on site. So I'll just go through these real quick. So they're trying to get the ditches all completed. This was a triple barrel concrete box culvert that we did, so you can kind of see that there. They installed the riprap, so really all we're needing to finish is the dirt work, and then hopefully they can get that done by this week, and we'll be able to open up the road here by the end of the week or early part of next. So you kind of just see that they're out there working today, and we got to go out there and put some shoulders on the road and everything. But so that project is wrapping up as well.
Guardrails too, right?
Actually, we'll fill in the ditches and stuff,
Right.
but we made this culvert wider, so we didn't have to put guardrail on.
What about on the bridge itself?
We didn't need to with the way the
Really?
traffic. I mean, there's not a whole lot of traffic out here, so
Okay.
it did not warrant the need for a guardrail or bridge rail.
Save a little money, thank you.
Any questions about these projects? Jerry, I did want to ask you, unrelated, to what extent are you interacting at all with what's happening on West Market Street with the state? I mean, is that all City of Bloomington, or?
Yeah, we haven't really had much involvement in that. Our White Oak Road does go right up to Locust Street, and that's kind of where the improvement starts of the new alignment of their intersection that ties into Route 9. But they've kept us notified of what they're doing for the road closures and stuff. But as far as the construction progress and that type of stuff, I have not been involved with.
As you might imagine, my constituents, I get asked that a lot.
I'm sure.
It is a giant, it's going to be lovely when it's finished, but it's been a giant pain for a very long time.
Right.
Okay. Anything else for Mr. Stokes before we move on? Okay, thank you. Item 5, Ms. Taylor, do you have anything for us?
I have nothing for this committee.
Okay, in other business, we have our 2025 meeting dates, and we thank Julie for sending out our meeting dates for the whole year. Type A is super excited about that. It's in the calendar already. Any questions from the committee before we adjourn? Pardon? Yeah, so next month, we will be meeting as a combined committee, same people, at 8:30, instead of having to do 2 back-to-back. Okay? All right, well, with that, we are adjourned, and I will see you all in like 15 minutes.